We are back today to Industry Insider. We have Ross Iacobellis from Hunter Engineering here today to talk about ADAS. We're thrilled to have you back today, Ross. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the podcast here at Collision Repair Magazine.
Thank you, Allison. Very excited to be back on this podcast. Really glad we could share some new information and new technology that we've been releasing for these advanced driver assist systems on the market.
Absolutely. We know that Hunter's been up to a lot, especially last year. We've seen lots of stuff that was launched at SEMA, things that have been rolling out since then. And I know you guys probably have some more stuff up your sleeves. So today we'll be expanding on our previous session, which if you haven't listened to that one, fear not, we'll be covering a little bit of the basics here to start. But we definitely encourage you to go listen to that first one to get a handle on the basics of ADAS and what Hunter Engineering offers its customers to understand ADAS and better be equipped for ADAS calibration and services. But today we'll be exploring the nitty-gritty of ADAS, who can offer the ADAS calibration services, what kind of training and equipment is required, how to optimize this investment, and much more, as well as Hunter Engineering's recent developments for products for the area. So, Ross, before we get started, could you just explain to our audience here your role at Hunter Engineering and what kind of a day-to-day looks like for you in your role with Hunter?
Yeah, so my position at Hunter is technical specialist in sales. So I do help the sales team and the regional team for all of Canada and in St. Louis a little bit for a lot of the technical information that's required for, as far as our reps and service technicians and obviously shops. We do sessions at trade shows and other events where we try to, go with a knowledge-based type of informative guide with our products. And I do a lot of our distributor training in our building, plus all of the account red carpets in our building that we host here in our facility in Aurora. But I know you've had a chance to come up here with your team for some events here in Aurora, Ontario. And again, we go with the knowledge approach and show what we have available and how we can help shops, dealers, and auto dealers and collision centers to all get through these ADAS resets quickly, efficiently, and easier, right, on the market.
Absolutely. Yes, lots to cover there. I know I have been to the facilities, yes, as you mentioned, and it's impressive to see just not only the history that is all like on display there of all the Hunter equipment and how long you have been servicing the market, but the training facility that you have there and the breadth of knowledge that comes with everything that you guys offer. So really excited to dive into things today and inform the industry more about ADAS and as well as the Hunter offering. So just to dive into things and kind of get a basic framework here, let's discuss the intricacies of different ADAS technologies and how they may vary from one OEM to another. I know there's a lot of different requirements depending on which automaker, even model to model, there's different changes. So can you elaborate on some of the different or common procedures and why ascribing to OEM procedures is so critical when doing ADAS calibrations?
Yeah, so our ADAS procedures are all driven by OEM procedures. So we follow the exact OEM procedure step by step through our ADAS calibrations. And our technology allows us to improve efficiencies. So vehicle to vehicle, we could have all camera-based systems in a vehicle that's going to automatically detect when there's a car on. So we're doing adaptive cruise control. It automatically will slow the car down or apply brakes. So there'll be active systems like that. There'll be some that'll be warning systems that'll turn on a beeper to let them know that they're approaching a vehicle too quickly or too close. There's warning systems that most vehicles will have in the mirrors where a light will come on. Some of them will actually steer you back in your lane if you're leaving drifting out of your lane. So there is active systems and warning systems on the market. And again, like you said, a lot of car manufacturers might have both on their vehicle. They might be running both type of warnings, and some vehicles will allow the customer to turn buttons off and change settings to their liking. But almost the majority of vehicles on the market today have some sort of ADAS system. So they have that, advanced driver system that's going to affect how they drive a vehicle, and it will also improve their safety in a vehicle. And some systems require calibrations, and that's what we're here to talk about.
For sure. And I think a lot of people get overwhelmed just because of the sheer, I mean, people that educate themselves at least on the ADAS procedures and the requirements get overwhelmed at the sheer amount of the differences between OEM procedures and requirements for calibrations and the different tools required. And as you mentioned there, Ross, like the safety of these systems, a lot of people rely on them and they're ultimately designed to make people safer in the car in the event of an accident or just day-to-day driving in general. And if a collision center or another automotive partner fails to calibrate that system correctly and to the OEM standards, there's a lot of risk in there for the safety element, of course.
Yes, definitely is going to affect the operation of the vehicle in a safe manner. And the collision centers out there in the world are trying to educate themselves to get better and better with putting the proper repair process in place to repair these systems properly. They come to us for our expertise on being able to provide a piece of equipment to help them get through those calibrations effectively quicker and more accurate than what they currently might be available in the market. So we're extremely excited because we have this really intuitive system that allows technicians to navigate ADAS calibrations without having to do any complicated measurements or positions with the machine. The machine guides them through the process, through the whole calibration.
Before we dive too deep into things, who are the people who should be educating themselves on ADAS calibrations? Like, is it just the person performing? Should shop owners bother their time with this? Insurance? Like, who in the automotive aftermarket should be paying attention to ADAS calibrations and the potential in educating themselves really in the field?
So in the aftermarket world, the technicians that are performing these repairs on vehicles should definitely be well versed in what systems they're working on and how the car is affected by what they're touching. So, for instance, the technicians are removing bumpers and they disconnect an ADAS sensor. Some systems will require a calibration just by unplugging it. Some won't. So they have to be well versed on what the requirements are in the service instructions of the vehicle, the service information. The shop owner definitely needs to be involved because the risk of not being informed and not following proper process when you're repairing vehicles. So the shop owner definitely, even the counter staff, we have counter staff information available to help them speak with the customer at the counter on why they're doing what they're doing on a car. So really at the end of the day, it's almost start to finish. The whole shop needs to be involved in completing a repair completely and accurately from start to finish.
Absolutely, yeah, and understanding. And not only that, like to your point of counter staff, some people might be like, why would I educate my counter staff on the intricacies of ADAS? It's about making sure your customer is educated, of course, too, when they're calling and that point of contact person has some more information about what's happening to their vehicle or, any sort of peace of mind and can accurately explain that. That obviously introduces some sort of customer service aspect as well.
Absolutely. Like the counter staff understanding our printouts and our reports that come out of these machines. And when a customer has a question, the report actually gives a full description of what was reset on the vehicle and it'll show that it was completed accurately. And customer has peace of mind, when they're leaving. Transparency is extremely important in the service business today. And building a trust with the client is crucial. It's crucial to a successful location.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings us into our next point too here about the lesser known challenges. I was recently speaking to somebody in the industry that was talking about someone else that was looking to take on ADAS calibrations into their facility, and then they kind of got knee deep into it and realized this is way more than I thought, and like weren't ready to, make the full investment. So, in your experience onboarding ADAS services, helping facilities with their ADAS services, what have been some of the lesser known challenges or things that you've run into as people try to introduce the technology to their facilities and even their teams through training?
So I think the largest changes that are going to be, challenges in shops that are trying to get in the ADAS business is first off, making sure they have somebody come in, take a look at the location for space requirements, lighting requirements, any challenges that are we call environmental, and then look at a really good training plan for the technicians to get comfortable with what they're actually calibrating and the purpose of calibrations and really understanding these systems because it's not just a camera-based system. It's not just a radar system. There's systems that are LiDAR, which they're using laser radar, LiDAR systems, and they have to truly understand what's happening to be able to correct and repair these systems. They have to understand, what it's doing, how it functions, and having access to the proper service information and the proper information to proceed and complete these repairs after a vehicle is involved, maybe in a collision, is crucial to being successful.
100%. Yeah. And a lot of people, they might think they have level floors, but you'd have to get, the proper things in there and the lighting. And there's a lot of that goes into ADAS onboarding those kind of services and making sure that you have everything. And obviously getting the team on board is a huge one too to tackle these procedures. But moving on to calibration errors, and I know you touched on Hunter's product ability to, guide the technician error free through calibration process. I've seen it in action myself too. It's very quick. But how do calibration errors ADAS impact the performance of the vehicle and the safety of its occupants? I know we kind of touched on how critical this is before with people relying on ADAS, but can you kind of elaborate on how critical this is for facilities to ascribe to the recommendations because errors could affect X, Y, and Z? If you could elaborate.
Yes, I can. So the OEs are going to use a 1 millimeter plus or minus tolerance for ADAS calibrations. So if we looked at a camera system on a vehicle, front-facing camera system, and we were at 1 millimeter in front of the car, we could be 8 feet out in oncoming traffic down the road. So it really does affect the operation of the vehicle. And when we're going through an ADAS calibration, ultimate ADAS, our goal is to be bullseye. Our goal is to get it in a bullseye location and having the target in the correct location. One thing we do a little bit unique is we actually double check the technician's work throughout the process. So we actually go and check to make sure that they did get it in tolerance, and we will not let them click the next button to proceed. It'll allow them to recorrect that position before proceeding. So we just don't waste a lot of time having to restart massive procedures on vehicles. We trim it down to very, very few simple steps. Technician gets confirmation that everything's right. And then when they go to their scan tool, the chances of getting a completed calibration are very, very high.
So moving on to part two, we've clearly established here that following OEM procedures and recommendations are paramount when we're looking at ADAS calibrations. We all know that OEM procedures can change rapidly. They're known to change the drop of a hat. What's true today might be not true tomorrow. And we've already discussed how different automakers have varying calibration processes, whether that be, static, dynamic, both, different requirements, different tools required. So moving on to kind of the knowledge and training and the proper use of equipment aspect and Hunter's role in that. First question here, how does someone, the technician or perhaps another party, acquire the information and ensure they're following the automaker specs? I know there's a lot of confusion about where we can find proper OEM procedures. As mentioned, they change the drop of a hat. So how does someone acquire this information to ensure they're doing the stuff correctly?
Yeah, it's challenging. It's definitely very, very challenging keeping up to date. So our Ultimate ADAS systems will have quarterly updates fed right to the machine through our Hunter service team in the field or our Hunter T&T reps. That's how we keep the technology up to date. As far as the technician keeping up to date, we have monthly releases on our scan tool. And every single month, it's documented on the update on all the changes that were made to that scan tool listed by OE. So really, at the end of the day, keeping up on that information, keeping their scan tool up to date, and really taking a few minutes of their time to go through and read all those changes that are being uploaded on a regular basis is very helpful for a technician to keep up to date. But really, at the end of the day, there's so much information that's available out there in the field, whether they're on Facebook channel that they're following ADAS, other technicians out there with challenges in the field, to reading every single bulletin that comes out in the service information. It can be overwhelming for some technicians, but at the end of the day, the ones that are really, really successful are the ones that really keep up on that information.
Absolutely. And, knowing where to look for those proper tools. And as you mentioned, being fed from the proper parties as well, and not, just Googling and finding something from, 2017 that's probably not accurate on this model and being in tune with those tools. That's of such importance. How does Hunter ensure the accuracy of its ADAS calibration equipment? I mean, we're focusing so much here on how integral it is on following these OEM procedures. And you mentioned the different channels, of course, that we receive this information from and are verifying that it's correct. But how do you guys ensure that what you're putting out on the market is performing accurate ADAS calibrations?
Yeah, so Allison, that's a good question. We start every single day. Well, let's back up a little bit. When a customer purchases a system from Hunter, it is installed and calibrated and tested to be in tolerance before the customer even gets their hands on it at their site. So when it's at the customer's location, it's all confirmed with specific type of calibration checking tools that we build. We build our own tools to confirm the operation of the equipment. And then every single morning when a technician comes to work and they turn on their ADAS machine, the Hunter Ultimate ADAS, it will automatically check to see if it's still in calibration on the first vehicle that they work on. So before they get through the first few steps on the machine, it will automatically flag and come up and say, we'd like to do a calibration check. It performs it automatically and will give them a pass or fail on the calibration every single day.
Wow, every single day. Yeah. Make sure that's always staying in tune. Like we mentioned, things move fast all the time and things can change. So obviously a very good tool. It sounds like a lot of things are automated here and make it, easier for the team and, not only automated, but verified against those automations as well. Very interesting. I'm sure we'll elaborate more on that when we speak more to products, but we're focusing more on the ADAS right now. But I think a lot of people are probably wondering, you speaking about this information that's available through Hunter. Who has access to these tools that Hunter provides for ADAS learning and ADAS services? And could you kind of elaborate on some of the tools that are available to the market right now, as well as obviously who they are available to?
Yeah, so right now we've been updating our website regularly on hunter.com. We actually have a training tab on our website, and we created a new platform called Hunter Training. And so it's a new training platform. Hunter University is the header, and we released that at SEMA a year ago, and we actually won an award at SEMA for this new platform in the learning sector of the trade show. And we have on the actual e-learning class, it's open to anybody. So anybody can go in and take our ADAS training courses. So it's e-learning and it's 14 modules. It's been fully updated. It's free and it's a certificate program. So they get a certificate on completion. There's some tests at the end of some of the sections. And it is a really, really good tool for really getting the knowledge on what ADAS is about, how to deal with it, and a lot of information. And then to take a little bit further, we have a channel on YouTube called the Hunter Learning Channel, and we'll have the vehicle specific ADAS calibration procedures on the Hunter Learning Channel where they can actually watch that calibration being started from start to finish on specific vehicles. And we do have quite a few coverage on many, many different vehicles being calibrated.
Wow, that's very comprehensive, and I'm sure people can get a lot of information from that. So I'll put the links down in the description for anyone that wants to click and check it out. As you mentioned, it's free, a lot of this stuff to users here. Anyone that wants to check it out, feel free to educate yourself on some ADAS knowledge. We know how important it is just from this far in the podcast. But you mentioned there's some sort of integration with accreditation or getting credits through these services. So can you kind of elaborate? We talked about how integral it is to be correct. I keep stressing that point on every single question we bring up, but how do certification or accreditation programs contribute to the credibility of a collision center or a technician's ADAS calibration services? What are the benefits of having certified technicians on staff regarding customer trust, insurance partnerships, and just overall ensuring safety?
Yeah, once they've completed these Hunter University courses, they're going to have the certificates, and the accreditations that automatically show that they have completed these courses. Having an accredited certificate there allows the shop owner to actually, put these certificates, allow the insurance companies and everything to view that these certificates and they're trained correctly. The big benefit is going to be definitely more efficient getting through ADAS calibrations when they're better informed and really understanding the technology. And when it comes down to insurance companies are going to pick shops that are able to complete these ADAS resets effectively, efficiently, and get customers' vehicles back on the road in a timely manner. Technicians are going to migrate to this because this is actually a very good career for technicians to acquire. It's not an extremely difficult career. I mean, it definitely takes some technical skill, but I think the path for an ADAS calibration technician is, once they go through the program and they actually learn how to do these procedures and they really have some confidence, I think it's a great, great path. But again, that's one piece of the puzzle. There's a lot of additional training courses. We also have in-person classes that will be released in Canada. They have been released in Western Canada already. So we have been working with some of our partners in Western Canada and in Quebec, which actually have in-person training sessions where they can go and get hands-on ADAS training with trained trainers. So this is the next steps for us in Canada to be spreading this right across coast to coast.
No, I love the point that you just brought up there. I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about too, is the longevity that something like this is providing. Like majority of the new vehicles today have some sort of ADAS capability on them. And this isn't something that's going away. Like people love their ADAS and lane keep awareness and, cruise control has been around forever. People use that on the day to day, even too, if you're doing highway driving. So many people rely on this technology. It's not going anywhere. So this is a skill that can continue to be developed for the majority of your career, especially if you're a young person. You can really specialize in this and continue to make it a focus.
Absolutely. I think as technicians just get more and more confident with these systems, they're going to be able to enjoy what they do every day, and the shops are going to obviously see the benefits of their hard work. And I think they can attract additional business. We can go after those collision centers that might not have the ability to complete these calibrations.
Yeah, educating. Is the goal to get more facilities to onboard ADAS in-house or just continue to spread the word of ADAS? What's the goal for Hunter with that sort of mission?
The goal for the mission for Hunter for training is to provide this type of training in person if a technician requires it. It's obviously a technician or shop pay type of course, but it really is. Technicians learn with repetitive procedures, going through it, they're hands-on. And by having this across Canada, our goal is obviously to have it in every province. That's really our goal, is to have it available everywhere in Canada. And they will be prepared when a vehicle comes in and it has an ADAS calibration required. They will be prepared. They'll know the corrective action to take. They'll know where to get the service information. They'll know how to use the scan tool. They'll know how to get it where it needs to be as per the OE procedure.
So they'll have all their bases ticked, like all their T's crossed and their I's dotted, basically.
And they will have a learning path for the future, as like we spoke about earlier, as OEs make changes, we have to make changes to training programs. And hopefully in the future, the plan is we'll have refreshers and additional courses if there's a requirement for it. If we get the ask from the technicians of the world that we need more and more and more, we're going to have to work on those programs moving forward.
So the demand, yeah, if you guys hear there's a requirement for more information and people want more running into, errors, then obviously Hunter listens to that feedback through your wide web of representatives, I'm sure, and you integrate that into changes into the platform.
For sure, we will. I mean, we already have, to be honest. We've partnered with some of the BCIT, British Columbia Institute of Technology, NATE, for instance. They have a very in-depth ADAS program that they're kicking off this year. And we head out to Quebec. We have CPA, which is a vast training facility that have ADAS training, and we've been working with them closely to make sure everybody's up to date and they're ready to go.
So let's cover some final thoughts. We've been talking about ADAS for a while here, but some of the questions that are common in the industry. First off, there's a general belief among many that offering ADAS services is lucrative and good for your bottom line. What would you say to businesses with this belief? And what would you warn them about this approach belief? Like someone that's looking to get into it because like, oh, I hear you can make a lot of money with ADAS and, investing in the tool and then, maybe they're not 100% in, but what would you warn somebody about this approach or belief? And is this perhaps true, this conception?
My advice would be is take your time, do your research, really work with the partnering company you're going to be going with ADAS. Obviously I work for Hunter Engineering, so we prefer you give us a chance to have a conversation with whatever system you're looking at. But I want to say is the best thing to do is be informed, really truly understand what's the requirements, really truly understand your market in your area on, is there a large opportunity? Is there another other companies completing ADAS in the area? And really look at if it's a good fit for your area. And go on to the hunter.com website, click on the ADAS Hub, go through all the tabs that we have. We have so much information, so much material there to be really, really informed and being able to go and look at, is this a good fit for my location, to provide this service? And when you go through all that path and you're going to do it, the chances of success are going to be great. No ADAS company in the world wants to have machinery that really care about the customer. Nobody wants to have a machine out there that's not being used. We want our machine to be used. We want it to be successful. We want the shop owner to just love the technology.
Absolutely. You don't want to be one of those people that's buying this equipment and then leaving it in the corner to kind of just rot, for a better word, and you're not making your ROI on it and not really utilizing it to its full potential or utilizing it at all. You don't want to end up like that. And especially when you have so many tools and we're in 2025, there's no excuse to be leaving that in the corner. So, what are the costs associated with ADAS calibrations? We'll just put that on the table because I know a lot of people are concerned about, this, a lot of the equipment comes with a hefty price tag, and then people might be concerned about what they're going to get paid if they're a repair center for performing these calibrations. What's your thoughts on that cost associated with ADAS calibration and offering the services?
So costs are definitely going to be your facility, the proper technician to complete these ADAS resets, proper counter staff to have those conversations at that facility, and obviously the equipment, right? We're looking at, in a lot of cases, we're doing an alignment pre-ADAS. So our ultimate ADAS system does actually complete alignments and ADAS resets. It's a dual function, dual revenue type of machine. But if you're just going to be doing ADAS resets and you're not going to be doing the alignment portion, we have to look at every location is going to have its specific costs. And what brand of vehicles. We added Mazda and Hyundai and Kia, and we added Nissan, Infiniti, Toyota, Lexus, Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche to our systems for ADAS. So at the end of the day, we're constantly adding. So as new targets come out in the market, the shop will also have to keep updated as new targets and new systems come available. We're going to try to do our best to offer everything as an a la carte edition. So again, it's an ever-changing industry. We don't want shops to be afraid of ADAS. We want shops to be informed. So that's why we try to provide all the information on our website. Definitely work with the Hunter rep. They're there to help. Their business consultants usually come out on site. We'll take a look and have a look at the facility, give some suggestions for areas that can be completed. So really just gather the information ahead of time. It's hard to put a firm number on it because everybody's kind of specifically different as per location.
So before we wrap things up here with any final thoughts, we kind of covered this in the last one as well, but a big question for a lot are on the minds of many. How do insurance adjusters view ADAS calibrations in the claims process? And what expectations do they have from collision centers or people performing these ADAS calibrations from your experience?
So from my experience with insurance companies, they typically are going to pay per calibration on a vehicle. And some vehicles that require a static calibration with a machine similar to Ultimate ADAS, and then followed by dynamic, it'll be a bundled price. Some systems are require dynamic or static separately. They're going to have a price accordingly. But typically in Canada, we see ADAS resets anywhere between that $300 and $375 price range for a calibration per system, and it can be very lucrative. I think the insurance companies, they just really want the car fixed correctly the first time, the right time. And the shop owners obviously want the same thing. They want the car fixed, they want it gone, they don't want it coming back. They want the customer's vehicle handed back to them as safe as it was when it was brand new. So at the end of the day, that's what we try to hand over. We try to hand over a tool that will help them with that process.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I think we've been really comprehensive here and we've covered a lot of the tools. So, if anyone wants to, please explore all of the tools that we've discussed here and more what Hunter Engineering has to offer. We'll have all of the links in the description and on the screen here if you're watching on YouTube or from video format. If not, please go to the description and look at the links to go explore anything. And I'm sure Hunter will be more than happy to direct you to their nearest rep as well through their contact forms on their site. But Ross, any last words to our audience or any final words for anyone that would like to take on ADAS?
Last words I'm going to say is don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to learn. Inform yourself, get everything you need. And Allison, thank you for your time.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Ross. Always a pleasure. We really appreciate having you today on the podcast and all of Hunter Engineering's expertise. So once again, just check out all of the resources we've discussed here and please make sure you're educating yourself on ADAS if you're embarking on the journey with us. And thanks again to everyone that's listening today and stay tuned for our next episode of Industry Insider.